My Niger brothers and sisters, how una day?
Nigerians are not fine. Yes, they are not fine at all. The reason they are not fine is because of the elections that happened in Ghana. Now, the election, Ghanaian youth already proved to Nigerian youth that we, the youth in Ghana, we are the one controlling the country. Now, Nigerians, youth, you don't need to come and tell us nonsense or shishi. You don't need to tell us anything because we, the Ghanaian youth, we are the one controlling Ghana. Why Nigerians, they can't control their leaders, but Ghanaian youth can control the leaders. No, wait, no, follow me, drag. Watch the video. The video will explain itself to you. I'm not the one.
If not that Nigerian politicians don't have shame, tell me why Mr. Yakubu, the INEC chairman, will go to Ghana to even have the audacity to say something about a successful election in Ghana. He is the audacity for me. Anyway, let me explain. In case you don't know, Ghana just had a successful election on the 7th of December 2024, where they elected their new president. Now, the election was between two parties, the incumbent power, which is their current vice president, and their former president. Now, the Ghanaians do no longer want the current administration. According to that, the current administration are not doing anything, and the current vice president is promising them what he would have actually done while in power. So, Ghanaians do not want their current vice president. How do you know that election was successful? Is when the results come out and the people are happy, meaning that the result reflects the people's mind. When the result reflects the people's vote, the people will be happy. Not like in Nigeria, when results will be called, the country will be like a ghost town, like a cemetery. Nobody will be laughing, nobody will celebrate, everybody will be mourning, like, Nigeria lost something big. Let's leave Nigeria out of this. Now let's focus on Ghana. So Ghanaians successfully elected who they want, and they are happy about it. You could see that they are celebrating. Nobody saying go to court. In fact, their current vice president, who lost the election, gave a speech stating that he accepts the result because, in fact, what does he want to argue? The election was so transparent and good. Perfect. Now, it pains my heart. It is with all pain in my heart that I have to say this good thing about Ghana. Now they praise like this. But anyway, when we see good things, let's say it. But the most painful part of this whole thing is that the Nigerian electoral chairman, which is Mr. Yakubu, the popular INEC chairman of Nigeria, INEC chairman, went there and had the audacity to conduct an interview and said,
the second thing for me is the lesson that Ghana also learned from Nigeria in the area of managing constituency election results. Until the last election in Ghana, all results come to the EC headquarters in Accra, that is parliamentary and presidential.
Unlike something good, and you cannot do it in your own country. Mr. Yakubu announced results at midnight while everybody was sleeping in Nigeria. And guess what happened? Mr. Yakubu told the opposition parties or the other parties, if you are not satisfied with the result, go to court. But Mr. Yakubu did not hear go to court in Ghana, but he told them here, go to court. Let me tell you, the most heartbreaking one is that Nigerian President Mahama told the president-elect of Ghana that he likes it when people voting who they want willingly. Anyway, I'm not laughing, but there's a pain behind that laugh. Tell me what to think about.
Sometimes Nigerian youth, they always find who they will blame. You people, they say everything on social media, but you people forgot to tell the world that in the polling unit, Ghanaian youth, they are there with their eye, kuro eye, counting the voting. The one they use their hand to complete. They are there with their kuro eye, counting it. The result was declared from the polling unit before the INEC by the Ghanaian youth because they are there. Because everybody want to show what they use their hand to complete. But in Nigerian selection, at the Nigerian youth did there, not be the same the election bust. Now they are finding what they want to train with. Although not be what I'm coming to talk. Watch this video.
How significant is this? Speak to us as an insider. You are a Nigerian, I know, but you're also an You are also a Mahama friend. You are a Mahama man.
Well, I need to correct something. President John Dramani Mahama actually lost election in 2016 and not 2020.
Okay.
So that makes it 8 years. I am not sure any elected president who left power for 8 years ever came back in Africa. We will need to check that out. Number two is the fact that the way and manner he never gave up for 8 years seems very remarkable to me, because he contested in 2020 and he lost for the second time to President Nana Akufo-Addo. And now in 2024, he contested against...
Bob D, just hold on. So you admit that he was part of the 2020 electoral process and he lost? Because I mentioned 2020.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's officially from the Supreme Court.
You were saying you were correcting me. But he lost in 2020. Just
No.
to get the facts right.
Oh, no. I'm saying he was out of power for 8 years. He was out of power for a total of 8 years. So it's remarkable that after 8 years, Ghanaians felt the need to bring him back. It's been compared to the story of Donald Trump in the United States. And in fact, that was a major campaign strategy here, that if Donald Trump could come back in the US, there is no reason why John Dramani Mahama cannot come back in Ghana. I would like to say that the economy, just like in America, played a major role here yesterday in Ghana, because a lot of people were complaining that the economy was very bad and it affected most Ghanaians. Structure in his time. In fact, at that time, he promised that he was going to turn Ghana into Dubai. I hope he will be able to continue from where he stopped at the time. His housing projects are still there, though abandoned by the government after his. I think that would be somewhere to also start from. In the area of education, he had upgraded the infrastructure for education. He had upgraded the polytechnics in Ghana to have degrees in vocational studies. So these are some of the things that Ghanaians remember with fond memories, with a feeling of nostalgia. And congratulations to him that he's able to persuade his people that he can still deliver.
I'm aware that Bawumia, the vice president, the major opponent, Ghana, having operated a two-party system for many years back, for now, has already conceded victory to President Mahama. Now, are there lessons here that we can learn? Because the vice president, Bawumia, said, well, the Ghanaian people have spoken. He didn't even wait for the Electoral Commission to speak before he placed a phone call, and he said, well, the race is over. Congratulations, Mr. President. Are there lessons here?
Well, Ghana is a multi-party democracy. I think yesterday about 12 or 13 presidential candidates were on the ballot. Mahama was actually number 8 on the ballot paper. And it was quite spiritual. So they were bold. I've never seen a place where civilians would face soldiers head on. Anybody who attempted to snatch boxes yesterday, they descended heavily on him. And it shows that if you defend your votes, it will be difficult for anybody to hijack your votes. They did that all over Ghana yesterday. The other lesson for me, especially with the vice president conceding, is that the electoral process in Africa needs to be made simpler and easier to operate. Because right at the voting centers, all the agents already had their pink forms. We knew every result in majority of the polling stations. So, and there should have been a way, which is something that Nigeria keeps failing at doing, of transmitting directly from the polling stations. If you look at America, how come within a few hours we can project who is going to win where and how? But yesterday, there were attempts by some people to slow down the process. In fact, I started hearing something like they were using fax machine to send. That, for me, was a minus. But the election was relatively peaceful. People were determined to vote and make their votes count, and Nigerians should be able to do that.
Well, Are Mamadou, I'd like to ask you, still in terms of the lessons. You know, politically, we usually say, oh, Nigeria has a way of mirroring what happens in Ghana. What do you think are the direct lessons for Nigeria? Yes, there were cases of ballot snatching and some of that in Ghana. But, you know, in Nigeria, we have a strong issue here. There's a case of Atiku Abubakar, former vice president. There's also the case of my former boss, President Goodluck Jonathan. Do you think that certain political elements in Nigeria will be interested and say, well, this is a signal that we can also do it in Nigeria and get Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed in 2027? I would like you to comment on those permutations that I've had some people throwing up.
Well, as a Democrat, I always advocate that anyone can exercise his right of contesting the presidential election or any post for that matter. I don't see any reason why former President Goodluck Jonathan cannot say, now that my friend in Ghana has contested and he has won, then I can follow in the same footpath. The only question I would ask is if he would have the courage to take on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm not sure about that, but that would be an answer for him and his handlers to answer. To take on a man like Tinubu would take more than ordinary courage. You know that if you are looking for a very courageous, very bold, very fearless leader, Tinubu is the man. And that is why you will see that a lot of people are still promoting Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, because they believe he's the only one who has the capacity, the boldness, the courage, the exposure, the experience, you know, to take on an Asiwaju. They know themselves very well. Once upon a time, they were in some parties together. And so, I don't know, but that is left to President Goodluck Jonathan or former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to determine.
Okay, I also asked about President Jonathan. What do you think about the President Jonathan option? People are saying, well, President Jonathan should follow this example and try to throw his heart into the ring for 2027. What do you think? Let's talk about John Mahama, the man who is coming back, like Donald Trump, for a second chance at power. Now, when he was president, 2012 to 2017, some of the reasons why he lost the election to Akufo-Addo was that there was unemployment, there was high inflation, there was, what do they call it, doomsaw, electricity blackouts and all that, and that he could not manage the economy. Those same problems have not gone away 5 years later. And now he's coming back to address those same problems. Now, Bawumia has admitted that Ghana needs change. Can President John Mahama coming back ensure that change, or he will be demystified? These are the issues. Because the same issues he left behind is coming to confront them. And who is he? What kind of man is he? Does he have what it takes?
Well, there is a saying that when a woman has not tried two husbands, she might not know which husband will be better. They complained about President Mahama, and what they complained about at that time, the exchange rate, I don't think ever went beyond 4 cedis to $1. Today, it's about 1,600 or 1,700. It's almost like what is going on in Nigeria. So, in terms of the economy, it has actually collapsed beyond imagination. That is number one. Number two, they complained about the inflation rate. The inflation rate between Mahama and Nana Akufo-Addo, the gap is so wide at the moment that Ghanaians are begging, for a new lease of life. If you talk about unemployment, Mahama's strategy was to invest heavily in infrastructure development. And that enabled him to get so many Ghanaians to work. The problem then was that people were complaining that money was not coming to them directly, there was hunger in the land, and so on and so forth. But what we have today, again, is much worse. So I believe that Mahama, from experience, is a good manager of men and resources. That is going to help them. He is very frugal. Mahama tackled corruption head-on as president. In fact, there was a lady, one of his ministers, who was speaking in the car and was captured dreaming. She was fantasizing that my dream is to have $1 million by the time I left government. She did not have $1 million. She did not have access to even 10,000. Do you know she was fired just for fantasizing? So, but today in Ghana, Ghanaians are saying it seems that nobody cares again about fighting corruption and all that. So I think this will help, it's going to help Mahama in the second term. And then my advice to him is that he should constantly remind himself that 4 years will soon evaporate. Any leader who does not know about the importance of time, the time factor, will fail. So I believe Mahama will hit the ground running even from now. He has promised that he's going to name his cabinet almost immediately. And God has also blessed him with a substantial majority in the parliament. So he's not going to go through the turbulence of trying to persuade the parliament to approve some of his programs. I think he stands a good chance of becoming Kwame Nkrumah II, which people have always called him. Rascality in government. It's a lesson to Nigeria. People think, oh, these things can never happen in Nigeria. But I believe social media is making it a lot easier now for voters to punish their leaders. Yes, we may think, oh, INEC will read, this will happen. But trust me, where you have overwhelming presence, it is difficult to read. That is not to say some people did not want to read in Ghana yesterday. but the young ones made it impossible for them. They
Okay.
took on anyone who attempted to steal their votes.
Yes. As we begin to wrap up, I'd like to ask you, what's your special interest in this matter? You are a Nigerian. I know that Nigeria allows for dual nationality, but you've invested so much energy into this Ghana election. Is it because the People's Democratic Party lost out in Nigeria, and you think there is a better market in Ghana, and now market is looking good? Your man has been re-elected. What is special interest in Ghana elections?
That's a fantastic question. Anyone who knows my trajectory, we know that I stepped foot for the first time on Ghanaian soil on July 25th, 1995, on my way into exile in England. I managed to escape from Nigeria, and when I got to Ghana that night, I was very impressed with what I saw. I would stay in London for the next 3 years, but I promised to come back to Ghana. The history of Dele Momodu has been the history of promoting the best of Africa. I'm a Pan-Africanist who was influenced by the Osagyefo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I read all his books as an undergraduate student in Ife. And so when I got here, I've been friends with virtually every president, including Nana Akufo-Addo. When he was Attorney General, I was already friends with him, and I was one of the first people he consulted at that time that he would like to contest for the presidency. I was so close to President Jerry Rawlings, God bless his soul, that I invited him and his entire family to Nigeria. He followed me to Nigeria on the same flight. I brought him back to Ghana on the same flight. So I was virtually more close to Jerry Rawlings. And then when President John Ajeku Kufom was in power, he was my neighbor in the airport residential area. And I strolled in and out to see him. The day he did his re-election, just like the one Mahama did yesterday, Segun Adeniyi was in Ghana, and some journalists. I took them straight into his house in the airport area, and they were able to interview him. I supported him. His minister, Jake Obeshebi Lamptey, of blessed memory, we partnered with Ovation, and today, the tourists going to Ghana, it was the work we did with them in that partnership where we made sure that Nigerians saw the beautiful side of Ghana and they started coming to Ghana. Thereafter, Professor Jonathan Mills, who was the predecessor before Mahama came, it was the same relationship. Don't forget, he used to come to church in Nigeria, Pastor T.B. Joshua's church, the Synagogue of All Nations. We were very close to that government, and Mahama was vice president. But I got closer to Mahama in 2016 because he was interested in Ovation, giving him serious publicity. We specialized in pictorial stories. We took pictures of all his projects, and that was how Ghanaians, in fact, they thought those things were photoshopped. It was so beautiful that people were saying, oh, Ovation is lying, it's photoshopped. Okay. But today, those who refused at that time to believe that story, it is what they are now going back to vote for him. So my history is not just with Mahama. It has been a long history with successive Ghanaian leaders, and I'm very proud of that relationship.
I don't want to talk anything because I have a lot of message when I want to bring concerning this election. Because Nigerians are on social media, they hyping the youth where they say they no fit stand for themselves. They no fit stand there. They still even on the voting day, you will see the youth, they still bust. No be the same youth and the Ghanaian youth who they count election votes. No be the same youth pursue soldier make they go back to their house. Where they are and the Nigerian youth. I won't fight for my right. I won't fight for my right. You know, if you fight for yourself. No be waiting. I don't want to talk anything again. I just want to end everything here. I'm ready for you people because I'm coming to bringing you a lot of things for you to see. For now, let's no forget to subscribe to Master Manager Nigerian News. subscribe. Okay, subscribe.